Hello folks, in this video we will build this to-do list application using Flask. So Flask is a Python web framework using which we can build websites very easily. So we have built many to-do list application till now, so you already know how this works. So without wasting any time, let's get right into it. So I am at my VS Code and I have made one empty to-do list folder. Now inside this folder, I will create one app.py file and here I will create one basic Flask app. So from Flask, import Flask. Now I will create our app equals to Flask and I'll pass a name. This name is nothing but the main method. Now I can start creating some routes. So app.route and this is our base URL, and now I can create one method and here let me simply return hello world. So inside h1 I will return hello world. Now to run this app, first of all we have to check if we are in the main method or not. So if name equals to main, then we can do app.run and here I can pass some parameters. So I will pass debug equals to true. This will allow us to refresh the app automatically when there is some changes. We don't have to do it manually. Now in our terminal I can simply write python app.py and our app will start in this link. So we have hello world. Now here we are hard coding the HTML, but what we want to do is we want to pass it inside an HTML file. So from Flask we also have to import render template and now it can render some HTML. So we can return render template and here one index.html file. But we don't have any index.html file right now, so we have to create another folder and we'll name it templates. Flask knows it by templates only, so we don't have to mention it in the path. And inside this templates folder we can create one index.html file and here let me generate the boilerplate and let me give the title as to-do list Flask and also the heading as to-do list Flask. Now let me refresh and what do we get? Okay, we have to save our app.py file also. Now when we refresh, we are getting to-do list Flask. So this thing is working. Now here we have our base URL. However, if I write base URL /home, we are getting not found. However, in most of the websites, both the home and the base URL should point to the same home page. So what we can simply do here is we can pass two routes. So for both the slash, that is the base URL, and the home, you return me this thing. You just execute this this method, that is def home. So for base URL we have this, and for home also we have the same thing. Now inside our index.html file, let's create one to-do list app and then we will write a logic to add and remove and do whatever we want with the to-dos. So after this h1 we want one container where we will be handling our inputs. So let me create one form and this form will have an action which is this URL, and in Flask we write it in this format. So after action we will write two curly braces and we will write URL for, and there inside we will give the home, and in the app.py also after render template we have to import URL for, and this is our action. And then inside the form we will have an input and we will also have one button. So this button will be one add button only. Let's give the ID as add to do, and for the input we have the type as text. Let's give a placeholder enter to do, and let's also give an ID of input to do, and let's also give a name of, let's write to do name. We need this when we want to access it from our Flask, from our Python. So we'll see this later. So now if I refresh, we have all the things over here. Now for styling purposes I will simply open this with live server so that we can style quickly, and then we will move back to our Flask. Now after this form, what we need is our to-do container where we will have all our to-dos. So I will give another heading h2 to-dos, and then I will create one class like one div with the class name of to-do container, and inside we will have all our to-dos. So I will create one class of to-do And here first of all we will have one to do. Let's name it something. Write whatever is there, like write SQL. And then we will have one div with actions, and this and here we will have one checkbox input and one button that will delete the to do. So this will be checkbox, and we will have also one button, and this button will be one delete button. So this is how it looks like right now, but both of these things should be inside one form, because both of these should be performing some actions. And we will see this when we are writing Python code for these two methods, but as of now let's keep it like this. So this is the basic structure of a to-do app, and this thing will be repeating. So after this to-do there will be another to-do, and here the text will be something else. Let's say write Python, yeah, like this. So now let's add our styles to make it look much better. So I will write some inline styles, and then we will see how we can add styles in Flask. This is only for the live server. So now first of all, inside our body, I will do is I'll change the font family to this one. Looks much better. And let's also give some background color of white smoke. Little bit different than normal white. And now for both H1 and H2, what I'll do is I'll do text align center. And now for our input container, I will do display flex. No changes as expected. Justify content center. Okay, no changes again. And is that because I have no input container? Yeah. Here I have to give one class, and let's name it input container. Now we have these things in the center as expected. And then align item center, and what this thing will do is it will simply align the button and the input. And let's also give some gap of 10 pixel. Yeah, good enough. Now we will give some styles to our like input. So input to do, and what we simply want to do is we want to give some width of 50 pixel. Let's also give some height of 25 pixel, and let's also increase the font size to let's give 1.25 rem. Good enough. And then we will add some styles to our add to do button. So first of all, let's give some height of 40 pixel and some width of 40 pixel, and some border radius of 20 pixel. Okay, now let's do the border none. We don't want this kind of borders, and some background color of light green. Okay, font size, let's increase it to 1.5 rem, and let's also do one cursor pointer. Yeah, good enough. Now we will start adding some styles to our to-dos. So first of all, in the to-do container, I will give some border of 2 pixel solid black, only to know where it is. And then I will decrease the width. Let's give it 80 view width, and I'll give one margin auto to keep it at the center. Good enough. Now let me give some styles to the individual to-dos. So first of all, I want to change the background color, and let's give light steel blue. Okay, good enough. And then I want to give display flex, and then justify content space between. And now as we can see that we have no gaps, so inside our to do container I will do display flex and then flex direction column, and I'll give some gap of let's say 10 pixel. Okay, good enough. Now we can remove the border, and this is how our to-dos look right now. So let's also give some padding, and we only want to give some padding in the left and right. Let's ignore it at the top and bottom, so 0 pixel and 10 pixel. And then there is an issue over here, and that is because we have the forms inside our actions form. We have to do is display inline. Now this is good. but we also have to do one align item center. Yeah, and let's also give some border radius of let's give 10 pixel. Okay, good enough. And now only thing we are left to do is to add some styles to our delete button. So actions, form, and then the button. Now let's give some background color of red and normal color like text font color as white. Okay, let's give border none and padding of 5 pixel. Okay, let's also increase the font size to 1.2 rem, cursor pointer, and also some border radius of let's give 10 pixel. Okay, and let's also add the same font family to the button because buttons have different styles and we see some difference. And for our to-dos, let's also give some font size of 1.2 rem. Okay, that's all styles we need. But in Flask apps, we generally don't give styles like this. So we want to add some style sheet, and there is a different way we add style sheets in Flask. So inside our double quotes, I will again write URL for, and here I have to give like wherever is my like style.css file. Now it is a convention that in Flask apps we create one static folder, and inside this we will have one CSS folder, and here we will have all our styles. So inside I will have one style.css file, and every style that we have written over here we will simply copy it over there. So let's simply cut this thing and paste it over here, and let's remove the styles at the top and at the bottom. And now to show that we have one styles in that folder, we will write URL for, and here we will simply write static. It will know what static is, and then we will write file name equals to, and then we will write css slash style.css. And now we don't have any styles over here, but in our main app we will be having all the styles. And also in the Flask app we don't really add to-dos like this. There is a different way we will add to-dos, and to do that, first of all let me create some dummy to-dos in the app.py. So after this app let me create one to-dos array, and inside let me just create few to-dos. And first of all we will have an ID, so let's give the ID 1, and then let me write the to-do name, and we have write SQL, and then we will have another thing that is called checked, whether this thing is checked or not, that is whether this is complete or not. So let's give false. And now we will simply copy this thing, and here we will simply change the SQL to Python, and we will make it true because we are writing Python code. And in this video we will be not adding databases, but I'll create another video in the future where I will add one database and where we will be also writing SQL. So we have our to-dos, and now after this index.html we can actually pass the to-dos. So I will write items, and here I will pass the to-dos, and now inside my index.html I can actually access this to-dos, and this is something we can do using Jinja. So Jinja is a Flask templating engine, and using this we can actually access these Python variables inside our HTML. And we can do all of these things because Flask does server-side rendering. This is not a client app, this is the server side, and here we can actually access these things. So inside our to-do container, what I will simply do is I will write some Jinja syntax. So I will write one curly braces, and then one like percentage, and here I will write for item in items, very similar to one for loop in Python. And here I will write my basically this to-do thing. So let me just create this whole thing over here, and I will paste it, and after this I will simply end. So I will write percentage end for. That's it, and let's see what happens. So let's refresh, and we see 2 extra SQLs over here, and that is because here what we need to do is we need to write the variable, and that is something we can do it like this. So inside double curly braces I will write item dot name. That's it. And now if I refresh, we have the same things, and now we can simply remove these things. So let's remove it, and it will show like as many things we have over there. And now also we need to do a few more things. We need to pass whether these things are checked or not accordingly. So we have this input type checkbox and all of these things here. So here I will write some Jinja syntax again, and here I will write if item dot checked, if this thing is true, then I will want to write checked, and if this thing is false, then we will write nothing. So, and we also have to close our end if, and then percentage again, and then let's see what we get. So as you can see, this thing is checked, and that is coming from the Jinja. Now let's try to add some functionalities to our Flask app. So first thing we want to do is to, when we are clicking on this plus, we want to add one to do. So now let's close this left section for some more space, and let me go back to my app.py file. And now inside our home, after this route home, we also want to add one more thing, and that is called methods. And what this will tell us is it will also accept this get and post method, and using this post method we can actually add our to-dos, and the same thing need to be done for our base route also. And now first thing what we need to do is we need to check if our request dot method, and we have to import requests here. So after rewarded for, we will import request, and we will see if our request dot our, okay, so there is a syntax error, and this app has closed. So I will simply run our app once again. So let me simply write if request dot method equals to post, then I want to do few things. So as of now, let me simply write let's write one thing. We will write print and then request dot form, and here inside I will write to do name. So this to do name will actually be coming from this name over here, to do name over here inside our input. And let's see what happens now. So I will simply run our app once again. So Python app.py, and our app is running. So let's refresh this thing, and do we get anything or not? So let me write something over here, write JavaScript, and when we click on plus, we are getting one write JavaScript over here, but it is not exactly in the console. We can see that this is one request. And why is that happening? And that is happening because we also have to specify in our form that we are trying to do one post here. So here I will write method equals to post. And now if I refresh the app first and then do write JavaScript and then plus, we can see this write JavaScript in the console. So this is working. The only thing we need to do is to add this inside this to-dos array, and then we will be having this added in our application. So how can we do that? So first thing that we will do is we will create one variable called to do name, and here we will store this whatever we are writing in the input, and then we will generate one ID. Let's name it current ID, and this current ID should be generated within a range of, let's say, from 1 to 1000, and we have to import random for that. So import random, and now we can write random dot rand int, and from 1 to 1000 inclusive, and then we can simply do is todos dot append, and here inside I will write our ID. This will be our cur ID, and then the name, this will be the to do name, and then the checked, this will be false by default. And now let's refresh and let's try to add the JavaScript. So if there is one form submission issue, so let me simply open in another tab, and here let me write JavaScript and then plus, and as we can see our JavaScript has been added. So this thing is working fine, but now we need to add the functionalities for the checking and unchecking, and also for the delete. So right now if I simply refresh, continue, and as we can see, this thing got vanished, and there is a duplicate JavaScript, but this will be gone when we are done with the app. So the two more methods that we need are for one route for checked and another route for the delete. So I will write at app.route, and the route name will be checked, and it should accept some dynamic entries. So the ID need to be entered dynamically, and depending on that it will do the checking and unchecking. And for dynamic entries, we can write it like this. So it will be an integer and the name is todo ID. And then I also have to add the methods. So methods will be post only, and there will be another route like this, and this will be for the delete. And inside this one, what we need to do is I will create one method. Let's name this method as checked to do, and it will take this todo ID which is coming from the URL. And now what we need to do, so we have to search the to do by the todo ID and check the unchecked, or like basically do the reverse for this checked. So how can we do that? So first of all, I'll write one for loop, and I'll write for to do in todos, and todos is the array, and here I will search the to do by the ID. So if to do ID is equals to my whatever to do ID I'm passing, if this thing is the case, then what we need to do, we need to change the checked equals to not to do checked. That's all. And then we will simply break out, and then we have to return the home. So and I will import another method that is called redirect, and I can simply redirect to my home. So return redirect, and here I will pass URL for and our home. That is this page. So now it is saying invalid syntax because we also have to write for the delete one. It is saying the issue is in line number 42. Okay, so let's first also complete this delete one also, and what we need to do over here. So first of all, we will have another function. Let's call it delete to do, and it will accept the to do ID. And here first of all, because we are changing the global to dos array, we have to declare it as global to dos, and then the same thing, we will check for to do in to dos, and we will check by ID. So if to do ID, if this thing is equals to do ID, then we will simply remove this to do from the to dos. So to dos dot remove equals to do, and it will have the to dos without the to do with the given ID, and then we will simply return this thing. So return redirect and URL for home. That's all. Now we can simply run our app once again, python app.py, and we will have no issues right now. Now we also need to specify these things in our HTML. So what we need to do here, so here we have two forms, that is the form of action for our input and also for the delete. So we have to add few more things over here. So first of all, in the form action for the checkbox, we need to pass this URL. So I will write URL for, and then inside I will pass my like whatever is the URL, and that is our check to do. This is not the URL in that sense, this is the method that that particular route will be calling. And we also need to pass this to do ID equals to item.id, and the same thing for the delete also. We will write URL for, and the method is delete to do, and we also need to pass the to do ID as the item.id. And let's also specify the methods. So method is post, and here also the method is post. Now let me refresh the app, and let's see. Okay, let's start the app once again. So let me add JavaScript, and if I click on this, so right now nothing is happening. And why is that? And that is because whenever we are clicking on this thing, we also need to do one more thing, and that is we need to write on change, and here I will write this dot form dot submit, so that it understands that whenever I'm clicking on the checkbox, this form is submitting. And for the button, delete button, we don't need to do anything. So let me refresh the app. Okay, these things are coming again and again. So let me simply write one thing, write let's say Ruby, add it, and now when I'm clicking on this one, and now when I'm refreshing, as you can see, we have these things. So this is working, and when I'm clicking on the delete, it is also removing. So I'm unchecking, and when I'm refreshing, we are getting whatever is expected. So our basic to-do app is ready like this. Now there is a lot of scope for improvement, like we are storing everything inside this array. So this can be moved to one database. So now in Python we can use SQLite, which is one serverless database. So we don't really need to install anything for that. And also we can use like Microsoft SQL Server or MySQL. So we will be covering all of these things in some future videos. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.